Hello, hello! Good morning, good evening. How are you doing? Today we will be finally draw lightning or electricity. How are you people doing? How's your evening or morning so far? So today we will be working on lightning concepts. So still frames without actually animating them. I'll just try to design some cool shapes, get some inspiration from them to our next stream. Hey Danny, hey Sophia, hey John, hey everyone. But some of you already saw this type of stream where I just draw concepts. Some of you probably haven't. But for me it's like doodling. On a like in school on the side of your notebook. Whatever comes to mind, well, as long as it represents electricity in some ways. I love doing electricity. I think like in terms of animation, it's super fun and quite forgiving. It's not requiring a lot of patience for you, how many other elements do, where you have to be super precise or have a lot of patience. Electricity by design is very chaotic and erratic, and I think it helps to kind of hide a lot of potential mistakes. And usually, as long as it behaves like electricity, it will look just fine. And I remember the course by Adam Phillips. It was called By Castle Effects. Something like that. It was a long time ago. I only did a couple lessons there, but the very first one was, I believe, lighting. Because I guess Adam as well decided that it's the most forgiving type of effect to start with. And it's also there's a lot of room for stylization. You can approach electricity in so many ways. Because even in nature, there are very, very different, I guess, types of electricity in life. Like these huge Tesla coils. They have kind of soft electricity, where the shapes are more like this, like not jagged. So that's another idea for potential design. And I think lots of lightning animation, effects animation is most of the time is stylized, because in real life lightning strike isn't very animated. It's pretty much like just one beam when it hits the ground or connects with the ground, and then it dissolves, disappears. And there's not a lot of animation there. And usually what we do while animating lightning is usually kind of enhance it, add a lot of movement that's not present in nature usually. I think Adam is still streaming actually. I don't know if it's effect specific though. I believe he's streaming his own project. Animated movie, animated short movie. I don't know if it's short or long, but I kind of watched some of it, and Adam is awesome. He knows so much, not just effects. And I believe on his stream that I saw, he was working in Unreal Engine, creating environments for his movie. Which just shows how diverse his artistic knowledge is. Are you addicted to streaming now? You're online every day. I only stream twice a week. I think it's you people who are forgetting Fridays. But it's Thursdays and Saturdays every week. Every week is the same. But speaking of lightning, you can notice the way I'm approaching it. It's more stylized. I have a lot of width or thickness variation in my lightning, where I guess in nature it can be quite like similar, the thickness of it. And sometimes like the perceived thickness of it might be just brighter parts and they get like overblown and it looks a bit thicker. Hi Zareen. Lightnings in real life are so boring compared to stylized ones in animation, right? It's very impressive to see the lightning strike in real life with your own eyes, because it's so powerful and inspiring. But when you start to look at it just visually in slow motion or something. It's certainly interesting. And there's definitely room for more realistic looking lighting. But in terms of animating it frame by frame, I think it's way more fun to actually add some movement to it that might not be present in real life lighting. But at the same time, we don't have to make it realistic. We need to make it believable. It's the same thing like in movies you have gunshots that sound nothing. Allegedly, I haven't heard a real gunshot, but apparently they sound way different. But real gunshots in a movie would sound boring, so you enhance it in some ways, and as long as it's believable, it works. It might be the most exaggerated effect in animation. Probably. I mean, usually we're just basing our lightning strikes not on the lightning strike itself, but more of a... We use lightning coils, like Tesla coils, as an inspiration, the movement of it. And then apply this type of movement and erraticness to other lightning effects. It's not only about shape of the real life lighting. I think what's cool about in real life lighting is the way it's illuminating whole surroundings. Yeah, it's also the sound. But yeah, I agree. It's a way different experience than watching it on the screen. And we can't really capture it only with our animation. But we're doing our best. This looks like an eye. Kind of. Ooh, we have 20 people in the chat. Hello everyone. How many of you are new to my streams? Now I feel like it's not just it's also two hands that are doing like something like this. I don't like it. Hey Igor, how are you doing? I'm doing great. Finally done with fire. Can move on to something next. My YouTube page looks kind of cool actually, with how many? Like about 10 of very similar looking videos. The thumbnails are all about fire and like reddish orange. Would be cool to work on some lighting now. The music it's from one of the best Sega Genesis games ever. Well, in my opinion. Come on, you've heard it like dozens of times before. That's my go-to soundtrack. The game is very difficult. Somebody help Igor to recognize, to figure out where this soundtrack's from. Correct. Funny enough, I worked alongside this composer. What's his name? I always pronounce it wrong. Like Jesper Kud. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he worked on Battle Chasers Night War. And I wasn't aware until I was done with the project. So I had a chance to chat with the guy, but I missed it just because I didn't know that he was working on the soundtrack. Only when I was putting together my demo reel from Battle Chasers, and I wanted to put some music from the game, and I was looking for a soundtrack, and only then I found out that he composed it, which is super cool. I just wish I knew a bit earlier. Jesper Kud. Yeah. Sounds about right. But yeah, he basically one of the earliest influences, like musical influences for me, I would say. Because I was very young when I was playing these Sega games. He also worked on Assassin's Creed. So at this stage, I'm trying not to be perfect. Like some shapes, I might not like how they are turning out. But we're just trying to get in the flow and generate ideas. And sometimes having this even unsuccessful ideas present on screen, it will help you to keep going and come up with something new and different. I'm floppy disks old. 8-bit consoles old. Well, actually, it might be different eras. Not eras. But in Russia, where I'm from, 8-bit consoles, they arrived way later than in most parts of the world. So when everyone was playing 16-bit games, I've been playing 8-bit games. Да, сегодня мы делаем просто концепты, чтобы придумать какие-то новые формы и идеи. Dendy, my first console. Yeah, to people who are not Russian, I guess a little trivia fact. 8-bit consoles, like Nintendo's NES, either wasn't officially present in Russia at all, or no one cared about it. So we had a pirated version called Dendy that was popular and common here. And in fact, it was so popular then with the arrival of 16-bit consoles, Super NES, Nintendo made an agreement with the company who was producing Dendy, the previous pirated copy of NES, to be a distributor for Super NES, which I never knew until I got older and got curious about video game history and consoles. And funny enough, but because Super NES was now officially present and it wasn't that easy to distribute pirated copies of it, Sega was way more popular in Russia because official Nintendo consoles and games were very expensive, but there were tons of illegal copies of Sega present on the market. Or even if the console was real, clean, the games were definitely pirated versions. So it was just cheaper to play Sega, I feel. Денди никто за пределами РФ не знает. У многих других стран были свои пиратские версии NES. Я знаю, что в Южной Америке у них тоже какие-то свои были версии. Ну, не Dendy не назывались, но тоже не официальные NES, а что-то другое. Battle City, my first game. I believe there were like another games in this series, Battle City, on arcade. I've never played them, of course, but I've seen them on YouTube. Hi Magdalene, how are you doing? We have way more people today than the last time. I'm wondering where they're coming from. Maybe everyone was just bored of watching me drawing fire for the last 2 months. Now I'm making something new and it's more interesting. But anyways, welcome to everyone new to the stream. Make yourself comfortable. Who cares? It's great to see more viewers anyway. Yeah, I'm just curious. Недавно узнал, что Worms Armageddon до сих пор популярен. Директор подарил исходники команде инди-программистов, и они пилят современное обновление. Он прикольно, похоже на героев, на ситуацию с героями 3. Я не уверен, что там кому-то исходники дарили, но тоже ее поддерживают фанаты, выпускают какие-то обновления. Я в детстве играл в World Party больше, чем в Armageddon. Мне вот Worms как-то на прошлом стриме уже говорил, но почему тут не получается в них больше играть? Как-то не так весело. Возможно, просто нет компании подходящей. Morning, Brian. How are you doing? Have you played Worms? This looks so awkward. I played Worms on PS1 when I was a kid. Which one was on PS1? Was it Worms 2? Is not all of them were ported to consoles, right? Probably. Was it Zarin? Was it 2D one or 3D one? Side view? Which one you played, Brian? Old ones? I played Armageddon and World Party when I was a kid. Then we played a bit of Worms 3D. And then it's kind of fell off. Then Counter-Strike appeared and that's pretty much what I played for a couple years. It was Worms Armageddon. Oh, I didn't know it was on PlayStation. It's cool. I think fans think that Armageddon was the best one. Yeah, for me it was one of those games that I could play with my friends on the same PC, because it was before the time of available net play, at least for me, and all the games that had good local co-op or like hot seat. We obviously love them. I saw a streamer play the Battle Royale one recently. Yeah, it's so weird that the recent one is the last one isn't even turn-based. From what I've seen, it's like real time. I mean, it's cool to experiment, I guess. Ooh, I remember another game that I loved to play as a kid because of the split screen option it had. Serious Sam. I don't know how popular this series is in outside of Eastern Europe, I guess. But I would say it was quite popular here in Russia. At least the first two games. And surprisingly, even though the game is FPS, or like, I guess you can play it in third person, it supported split screen up to 4 people on PC. And I haven't seen another game, another first person game since then that on PC allows you to do that. And of course, second player had to play without a mouse because we weren't able to connect 2 mouses at the time. Or we weren't able to figure out how to make them work because it was the time before internet. So you can either play on a keyboard, like the old school Doom games where you look around with your arrow keys, which wasn't the best way to play. And you have to remember that you're both playing on a keyboard. Like, one player is using, let's say, arrows and a mouse, and the second player is sitting very tightly on the another side of keyboard, controlling both movements and aiming. But the solution we found, very awkward one, but I remember it fondly. I had a joystick, like for flight simulators, that my dad bought to play some flight simulators. So I used that as my, instead of the mouse. So I used this joystick to look around in Serious Sam. And we even played deathmatch, where I was playing versus my friend who was playing on a, well, normal mouse. It was so awkward. And my joystick was always drifting a bit to the left. No matter how I calibrated it, it's always just did that. So my aim in the game was constantly drifting to the left, and I had to compensate. But it didn't matter because we were able to play first-person shooter together. It was amazing. It also had a co-op campaign, where it was a regular campaign, but you could play it together. And to me, this was the first shooter game that I played with a friend. In general, I know that people who had Nintendo consoles, like for many of you, GoldenEye was one of these games. The first first-person shooter game that you can play with a friend. And for me, it was Serious Sam on PC. It's a shame that the series kind of died. The recent game is, according to reviews, isn't that great. What's your All-time favorite Cobb game. Any console, new or old. Let's find out what are the best Cobb games in existence. For me, it's definitely Resident Evil 5. Gotta be somewhere in there. One of the best memories from a co-op game for me. Trying to find the name of the game, but there's a giant robot game where for PS4 where co-op is different people controlling different parts of the mech. I know that game. Probably. I probably own it on PC. I have so many games on Steam. It's hard to find it. I have no idea what it is. Too many games. Titanfall? No, it's not Titanfall. It's something. It's like a fighting game, right? There's no missions. It's just two giant mechs fighting each other, or like more than two, I think. But I think I know what you're talking about. I haven't played it though. I own it, but I never got to play it. Borderlands 2. I wasn't able to. I don't know. I tried. We tried playing Borderlands 1 and 2, and both times it just, I don't know, wasn't for me. I loved Resident Evil 5. I'm in that small fan base. Like, according to sales, it's not that small. I believe 5 and 6 were the ones that sold the best among all the Resident Evil games. What do you think about the 6? Crusader, no regret. I don't know this game. What's the genre? Original Halo co-op was really memorable. Army of Two was a fun co-op on too. Oh yeah, I remember Army of Two. I guess the fact that I forgot about it kind of shows that it wasn't that memorable for me. But I enjoyed it, yeah. It was the time when by the end of a Xbox 360 lifespan, I bought a used 360 with a bunch of games already. And Resident Evil 5 was there. Army of Two was there. The thing that I didn't like about Army of Two, I don't remember if it was the first one or the second one. Maybe the second one, but it didn't save the character progress for a second player. You're able to customize your loadout and like unlock custom paint jobs for your guns. and it wasn't saving it for player 2. I know this was a bit frustrating, at least locally. You were also able to customize your mask, which was cool. Crusader is like Diablo in gameplay. Oh, interesting. Override Max City Brawl. That's probably it. Sounds like the right name. I actually never played through Halo. I tried it. I think 3 was already out, and I never played any of them. But I had a disc of Halo 2. I tried playing it, and to me it just looked weird. I didn't understand why people are enjoying it. Like very silly looking aliens. Everything is very colorful. Look kind of childish to me. So I never gave it a chance, really. Best co-op? That's hard. The experience is what makes it best, and each one is different, which would make that impossible for me to decide. Anything that you remember, we don't have to decide which one is the best. And yeah, I totally get it. It's all depends on the situation. And I remember with my first in-house job that I ever had, I had a friend, and we went to my place to play. We had a rough day, like crunch day, stayed up late. Then we decided to go to my place to play some games. And we've been playing Kane and Lynch 2, which we found it was so fun, at least at the time. And we just kept playing it, and we played it through the whole night. After a day of crunch work, and we went to work in the morning, and it was another crunch day. So even though it was so tough to stay awake after that, but these memories I remember them fondly after a while. Playing Kane and Lynch for the whole night. I think people hate on 5 because they like RE4 better. I haven't played Resident Evil 4. I'm waiting for a remake or remaster, or, well, I guess there's a lot of remasters of it, but the remake is supposedly somewhere close. But you should try RE6. Well, you have to play it with someone. I think like playing with randoms isn't that satisfying, but it's a super weird game. This sound always catches me off guard. I would say it has one of the best Resident Evil moments for me, and one of the worst. And the game overall is very uneven, but it's massive in terms of content. There are 4 campaigns. If you're a fan of more traditional Resident Evil, I would suggest playing through Leon's campaign, because it's Raccoon City and more resembles the old games, even though it's still not Resident Evil gameplay. It's more of a like 5. Pretty linear, you go and shoot. Chris's campaign was very action heavy, and it's like a military shooter, which I wasn't enjoying as much. But it got a bit better in the end. And another one, I don't remember who were the characters, Jake and Shelly? I don't know, someone. And this one was the most absurd in terms of it's like full-on anime game. But what I enjoyed about this game is that it just kept surprising me. Different settings, different game sequences, different types of gameplay. I think it was awesome. The boss fights are frustrating though. There's definitely something wrong with gameplay balancing at times. One of my favorite Cobb games from childhood was Chip and Dale. Yeah. It's also great because, like you mentioned, it had an option to interact with your friends, like pick them up and throw. And I think that's great. That's what co-op games should do. Allow you to not just play together the single player campaign, but actually interact in some ways. And that's what I liked about Army of Two as well. Because like there are a couple of options to do like dual actions where one player is like grabbing the shield, the second player is walking behind them. That kind of stuff. I guess another game that I really enjoyed playing in co-op, even though it's not a co-op game, but Divinity Original Sin 2 in co-op, it was great. And there were definitely places where you can interact with your teammate. I'm super excited for Baldur's Gate 3 to come out already. I haven't tried early access, but I hope it's great. We'll be playing it in co-op as well. Someone also mentioned Turtles in Time. Yeah. It was a good one. I haven't played this one specifically. I own the Sega Genesis or Mega Drive. But we had Manhattan Project, which was very similar. Like some levels were different, but pretty much the same game. I loved it, yeah. Then there was another game on PC. Well, I guess I played it on PC. It wasn't just on PC. TMNT game with cel-shaded graphics. I'll say beat 'em up, but in 3D. And I loved it as well. It was a bit past my TMNT fanboy stage, but I just thought that the gameplay was great. And it looked great. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles had great co-op features and was really fun, but they really limited co-op access, which made it hard to play with friends. Haven't played any of the Final Fantasy games. Do you have any design methods that you keep in mind while you are brainstorming these shapes? It's all about balancing large, medium, and small shapes, I would say. Not making it too even, like trying to add points of interest, let's say, in certain places. It's all just composition, really, which I know nothing about. But I know that that's what it is. Cool, I'm following along, but my shapes are a lot more boring. I catch myself falling back to the similar shapes quite often. Well, me too. I definitely can catch a lot of tendencies in my shapes as well. And I guess that's the exercise. That's the point of this session. Like, I start with something that looks where I'm comfortable. And like, I know I can make this shape or something similar. And like, this is also basically like this corner is very safe for me. And then I try to make something different, basically because I'm just, okay, I'm bored of doing the same thing. So let's just to entertain myself, try to make something different. It's still a combination of your favorite shapes, but you just can arrange them in a bit of a different way to come up with something new. And I think like doodling like this, at least to me, it's a great way to come up with something new, because I will just get bored doing the same thing. So I need to repeat, like do my comfortable shapes for some time, and go beyond this point. Because if I just doodling for like 30 minutes, I will just do my favorite shapes and then stop. And I think the goal is to go a bit beyond. And most of the times, I will enjoy my comfortable shapes way more than what I come up with. And only sometimes I will come up with something that I like. And then you can add it to your favorite library, I guess. But you have to discover it first. And I think in terms of similar shapes, I wouldn't say it's like a huge problem. You would notice a lot of similar shapes with all VFX artists, 2D VFX artists. Because what we do is mainly shapes. Your style is your favorite shapes, pretty much. So I think it's fine if you're doing a lot of similar things. Just if you want to do something different, then, well, I'm just repeating myself. You get the point. Just have to find these new shapes for you. For me, another idea, if I want to come up with something a bit different than I usually do, it's bring some level of, how do I say it, volumetricity? Like, make it more volumetric. Think about the space this effect occupies. Try drawing like electricity that's coming away from camera or towards the camera or something like that. Personally, to me, I think that's my weakest point, because I'm so used to make effects for video games where you make everything flat, but when I want to make something for animation, for cinematic or something like that, I quite often struggle with coming up with designs that actually live in the 3D world. And that might be a cool way to come up with different shapes and designs. I guess another one is references. Hey, sad Worldatron, how are you doing? We have way more people today than usually. Not so bad, honestly. Thank you. Well, also on the channel we hit a milestone. There are 3K followers on my YouTube channel. which is awesome. So thank you everyone for following me and joining these streams. It's really been so fun and also very productive for me, because originally it was just a way for me to make myself animate and make more effects versus just playing games and watching Netflix. Because before, a lot of times I tried to be more methodical and like, I will be practicing every day or every another day. But I always dropped it before. And I guess having a live stream where people are watching and expecting it in a good way forces you to keep going. But also if I compare it to when I have like a personal schedule for myself without streaming doesn't feel forced, surprisingly enough. And it's fun. I always looking forward for the next stream. Even after work hours. So that's been super fun for me, and I guess the difference is you guys. Your company makes it way better for me. And I'm secretly looking forward for character art streams as well. It's a bit scary for me because I mainly do VFX, but I also love drawing characters. And it's also scary because people are expecting VFX. And I don't know how you will react to me doing something different. But I still want to try it. Because I miss drawing characters. I think it's super fun. Thank you everyone for congratulations. That's good to hear. It's positive. It had a positive impact on my practice consistency as well. So thanks for that. Oh, that's awesome. That's even better. Maybe in the future we can make some kind of a interactive challenge where if anyone is interested, we can make something along and then look at it together in the end. Might be fun. Oops. Don't really want to make it like a teaching session or feedback session, but just people sharing their works and discussing it. Might be fun. So this is the best Cobb? Drawing effects together? Yeah, it's tricky, Zarin. I totally understand. I hope you can find a way, because I mean, it's fun to me. Maybe it will be fun for you as well. Dude, I love your Spider-Man piece you have on our station, so good. Thank you! I have 2 Spider-Man pieces. Which one do you like? The one with the posters on the wall that make no sense? Or the one with spider webs? I made a sweet plant yesterday. Looks a bit fake maybe, but for the project it'll work for me. I think I saw it on Twitter. I believe you posted a bunch of them. I don't know which one you're talking about, but I saw them. I think it's cool. Hey Alex, watching your stream since an hour, and yeah, that's a great idea to have like a community challenge working on something all together. Might be fun. Yeah, I'll think about it a bit more. Of like, we need to figure out how to make it work. But I'll keep in mind that people are interested. Maybe instead of watching at these works on stream, we can like invent a hashtag. And then, after the stream, you post it on Twitter. And we can look at it and leave comments after the stream. Maybe something like that, because I feel like doing this on stream kind of removes some time for me to actually make effects. Maybe we should make a Discord channel? I mean, maybe. I'm not good with modern social networks and like services and stuff. What's the benefits of Discord channel. I mean, it's a live chat, right? That you can talk to with other people who are interested in the same thing. So that's cool. The Web's one. I love the pose and the framing of the webbing. It reminds me of when he meets Madame Web in the 90s cartoon. Yeah, right. It totally reminds me about it too, but I'm a fan of this show, but I wasn't thinking about it when I was making it. Maybe like subconsciously. But thank you, glad you like it. I'm interested in, like, fan art is cool. I love doing fan art. I want to try doing like personal art. Not a fan art, but just a drawing straight out of my head. Yeah, I see a lot of good ideas. Thanks, Calomnia, for suggesting it. I think it can be cool specifically for maybe this concept streams, because I feel like that's something, at least to me, it's super interesting and it's quite easy to get into. It's not as time consuming to make a bunch of concepts, and I think it's fun to do it together. I will be posting this after, yes. I'll post this one on Twitter. And any other social medias like ArtStation. I don't like to post like single drawings or single animations to ArtStation. I like to like make a pack of, what's the word? I forgot how it's called. Compilation. Yes, I just recently used it and already forgot. But I like to make compilations or packs and then post it on ArtStation. And what I did with Fire from my last streams from 2 months, I've been posting the stream results on Twitter usually after each stream or like every other stream, and then after a month or two of when I have enough content, I make a larger post on ArtStation or somewhere else. So I guess Twitter is more for work in progress works. In Discord you can make groups to post works, chat with people, polls, etc. Yeah, I'll think about it. Sounds very social. Sounds anxiety inducing. I'm usually quite bad, at least I think I'm quite bad at interacting on social medias. Every time I need to make a post announcing my next stream or something like that, I don't know what to say. So quite often it's just fire goes swoosh or flame hot. Which I personally find funny, but it's coming from the fact that I have no idea what to say. Some people are way better at doing this stuff than me. And it's okay, it's just different skill set. A thought of managing a Discord group. Sounds painful. Have you done work for any anime? I have not. I mostly work with video games. I done some cinematics for video games, and I did a feature movie, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. But that's it for animation. Most of the time it's video games. Со стрима легче рисуется, думаю тоже попробовать. Ну, кому как. Вначале было чуть сложнее. Сейчас я как-то уже привык. Есть... Я не очень могу иногда соображать на стриме, что я рисую. Я на автопилоте рисую. После стрима, уже когда я наедине, я могу посмотреть и понять, где что не так, где как поправить. Иногда на стриме ты как-то вот... Я в такой зоне автопилотной, где не всегда получается анализировать то, что ты делаешь. Currently working on a personal project, managed to get a full team of people, including a professional voice actress. Sounds dope. I've seen some of your animations on Twitter. Looks cool. I mean, the fact that you're able to work on a project and keep going is awesome. I always drop my larger projects. Are you thinking about the next frame of animation on these at all, or just focused on coming up with new interesting shapes? It's mostly the shapes. Sometimes I do kind of a sequence where basically I design a couple of keyframes, but the main goal is just to focus on the shapes. To try to design something new and discover something new. Because I have a tendency to just do the same thing over and over again. And I found these sessions quite useful for discovering new ways of doing things. Thank you, Ryan. Are you the Ryan that worked on... What was the name of that game? Sorry, I'm bad with names, so apologies if I'm confusing you with someone else. The game that's similar to Monster Hunter, Dauntless. That's a great goal, Doreen. I think this world needs this. New IPs, new worlds, new characters. Oh, awesome, Ryan. I saw your work. You do great animations. What are you working on right now? It's also cool to see this flipbook style applied to a 3D game as well. Not a lot of these are around, and it's cool to see how different people approach this goal. New IP, awesome. Your work's can be in a huge inspiration, and now I'm at Airship. Oh, that's awesome. Say hi to everyone from me. See you next time, Calomnia. Thanks for visiting. Hey! Hi Anna! How are you doing? And I'm liking it. We have about 1 hour left, so let's make some more. Watching your stream from Elektrichka. Isn't it just a train? It's cool to see so many 2D effects being made. I feel like there's so much more personality and character to them. I'm sure I will ever go back to realistic stuff. Yeah, I personally, to me, it's more artistic in a way that you can see the artist behind these animations. Like everyone has a slightly different style, and I just don't get it from realistic stuff. Like, I can't really express myself that well. I work really hard on these titles. Thank you. I appreciate you noticing. How's the internet in your train, Anna? Now it looks like water. Yeah, I would say that with stylization, if you're going for more like anime type look, most of these shapes can be water, fire, whatever, depending on the color and the way it moves. This Time for Real is my favorite. Because it has a story behind it. But in terms of looking like fire, like water, so it looks like water, you start adding tiny unique identifications of unique features of electricity, like smaller bits, tendrils, I don't know how to call them, but now it's way more like electricity. And I think that's kind of the cool thing about these designs. And to kind of bring back personal artist style here, you can have a personal shape language, and with the addition of minor tweaks and features, you can indicate different elements but still keep your personal language style, like personal shape language style. Strobic animation glow. Yeah, you make it glow, it's not water anymore. Or at least it's not regular water, like magic water maybe. It's a lot of it comes from the way it animates, the way it moves, because water it's affected by gravity, while electricity and fire they're not. So in motion, even the same shapes will look different. It might be a fun challenge sometime in the future, actually. Like, get a shape and then using animation and using this shape, try to make it different elements only by using like coloring and movement. I think it's totally doable. Is there anyone's style you find particularly good or interesting? I'm very bad with names. Every time someone asks me about like favorite artists, favorite animators, I always struggle with remembering the names. But in terms of style, I really appreciate Michel Gagnier's style. I won't necessarily try to replicate it or use it in my works because, well, I prefer to draw something different, but I appreciate the fact how his style is so distinct and recognizable. Also Chris Graff and Ryan Woodward. I might be butchering the names, but... And once again, it's not necessarily that I would copy this style, but you definitely can recognize their work even without the title. You see the work and you can tell, okay, this is Chris Graff or Michel Gagne. Yeah, Ryan Woodward can transform flowing shapes into characters really good. Yeah, it's that's the thing about his style. He has like this flowing movement that you often see in his works, which is very unique to his works. In following a lot of foreign animators on Twitter, like Asian animators, and I can't read their names. That makes it tricky when I want to talk about them. But I think in Eastern animation, in Asian animation, they have a lot of... It's cool to study energy and motion from them. A lot of times the animations might be... the frames might look a bit unpolished to my personal taste, but the movement is always on point. Is lightning more fun to animate than fire? I think it's... yeah. Probably. Depends on the mood, really. It's just a bit different. I think with lightning you can go crazy with shapes because you're not limited by... well, the element itself is quite forgiving. You can do a lot of crazy shapes and movement. Animating fire is way more calm. You can just relax and autopilot. With lightning, it's a bit more intense on my brain power. Are you collecting something? I collect video games on Steam. I buy them and never play them. Did you study any artist to develop your style? Not specifically. It just, I guess, comes from... you have like preferences and you look at your favorite works and it kind of builds up in your head your reference base, and it all comes together from this library. Masaki Yusa is one of my favorite animators. Okay, let me copy paste it. It's in my Google page. I'll check it out after the stream. Laporta D, I don't understand. Something about Rusan. Sounds like Russian. I am Russian if that was the question. Do you people collect anything? I guess at some point I had a lot of bouncy balls. I don't know what are they called in English, but this kind of rubbery balls about this size. Hey, Oscar. I'm collecting medieval weapons. That's awesome. Like, are they real from the old times? I collect regrets. That's the worst thing to collect. Спасибо, Никита. There aren't real historical items, sadly, but I would like to commission a smith to forge a sword from one of my characters. That sounds awesome. At some point I had about 5 guitars. Is it a collection? How many should there be to call it a collection? I also had a custom one that I commissioned. What's the name of a person who makes guitars? Luthier? It's something weird like that. But anyway, I commissioned a dude to make a guitar based on my design. Sounds like a collection. Okay. I don't have it anymore. Now I have 3 maybe? 3 guitars and 1 bass guitar. Had to sell a couple of them when I was moving to the US. More than 2. Okay, then I have a collection. Well, I have lots of collections. Then I have a collection of cups, forks, collection of t-shirts. I used to collect trading cards, Yu-Gi-Oh and MTG. Sounds cool. Also sounds like... feel like it's quite an expensive thing to collect, right? Trading cards, there's so many of them and they just keep printing more and more and more. Collecting art books is cool. I don't have any. It's all digital now for me. My father, the luthier, makes mostly violins and cellos. He did a couple of guitars before though. It's such an interesting profession. I think working with wood is pretty appealing to me. I built an arcade cabinet once, which is fun. Obviously not as complicated as making a guitar or a violin, but I enjoyed it. How did you like living in the US? Well, I'm not in the US anymore, so not that much, I guess. No, it was good. It's just in the current situation, I decided to move back to Russia. It's honestly, visas make everything worse than it might have been, because there are so many restrictions for me with work visas. Especially if when you... Oh, my headphones died. Give me a moment, I'll be back in a few. Okay, I'm back. What was I talking about? Living in the US? Yeah. US is great. Visas suck. So many questions. The theory is, I think, is right, but not sure if full theory is for all instruments. Probably string instruments, right? Which fighting game, in your opinion, has the most awesome VFX? It's gotta be something by Arc System Works, right? I really like Guilty Gear, and older Guilty Gears are still one of my favorites, I'd say. Even though like Exard and Guilty Gear Strive are looking amazing as well, there is something to these old 2D sprites that I really enjoy. That's like new games are just, even though they're trying to look like 2D, they are still a bit different. Dragon Ball Fighters has awesome VFX, but it's like there's VFX that I appreciate, but might not enjoy like personally in terms of my own preferences. I think Dragon Ball Fighters VFX are amazing in terms of replicating the feel and the look of the show. But the original style of the show is not my favorite, so professionally, looking at as a VFX artist, I think they are amazing. But just personally, not my favorite. The old one, the game Garou, Mark of the Wolves, still one of the best character sprites, 2D sprites, and VFX as well, I think. But a lot of them, you have to look at the specific things because it's not always, okay, every effect is amazing. In all these games, there's always something that's, okay, this one isn't that great. And there's also a lot of degrees of good effects, and there's a lot of like different ways to describe good effects. There might be some awesome looking effects, but they work awful in terms of communicating gameplay. Like Strive visually looks super amazing and energetic and impactful, but sometimes you can't see anything because it's so chaotic and there's just too much. So you grab good things, like from Strive, I would reference the visuals, but I wouldn't reference gameplay readability and gameplay communication from Strive because they are not really doing a good job of communicating gameplay, in my opinion. I think it's better than in XR because Guilty Gear like didn't care about communicating gameplay that much before at all. I think XR is not XR, but Strive is trying to make some improvements, but it's not the main goal for them. Guilty Gear is my vote. Yeah, it's definitely up there. I also collect musical instruments. Oh, what do you collect, Ryan? Guitars or everything? I mostly have guitars. I also have bass guitar, drum set, well, microphone, bunch of other musical equipment. but it's mostly guitars. TCG can get ridiculous with a competitive deck going for hundreds of dollars, but I never got so deep into it. Yeah, I can see that. I only played digital TCG games. I guess TCG already has game inside, trading card games. But yeah, I can see it. Like Hearthstone releasing so many content updates with new cards, and I want them. They're just too many of them. I'm super excited for Strive as well. I'm still deciding how to play it in terms of like which platform. I want to play it on PS5, but I can't get a PS5 because they're not available, and it's unclear when they will be available. If it releases on the PC at the same time, then I'll get it on PC for sure. But I think from the recent trailer, it releases on PS4 and PS5 first, and they didn't mention a date for PC. But I don't want to wait. I want to play with everyone else. And I'm considering buying a PS4 again, because I had one, but I sold it some time ago because I wasn't really using it. And buying PS4 now, when PS5 is out, is kind of pointless. Only for one game. I hope PS5 appears in stores sometime soon. I won't be able to play the beta though. It's February 19th or 16th, sometime soon. I'll watch the hell out of it on YouTube though. I play drums and sort of play guitar. I love guitar stuff over to play too. But I have things 3 guitars and 2 different drum kits. Awesome. We should make a VFX artist band. Only VFX artists are allowed. I also have a keyboard as well. I don't know if it's called keyboard. Probably should be. I have this one by Rowley with rubbery keys that react to pressure, and you can slide them and stuff. Cool stuff. I don't know how to play keys though, but it's fun to just to mess around with different gadgets and tools. throughout my throughout the years of me playing music, I only managed to record one thing. It is available on Spotify and iTunes, probably. So if anyone is curious, the band name is Alex is Hiding, one word. It's an instrumental piece. I would like to make more. Just too lazy. Hey, I have a new listener on Spotify. Because Spotify, it sends you emails every month with the stats, and it's usually, oh, you had 100% more listeners than the last month. And I check it out and it says, okay, you have 2 listeners instead of 1 this month. Awesome. That's twice as many. Actually, my New Year's resolution this year was to make 3 more tracks. So, they might be more. That was the goal. It's just so complex, you know, it's I'm not a professional musician, I'm not a professional sound engineer, and I'm not a professional composer. And when you're making this stuff on your own, there's so much to learn. So I got scared. I get scared. Whenever I'm inspired, then I think, okay, I need to figure out how to do this and this and that. Yeah, playing drums is one thing, but recording drums is another art. Yeah, things and composing, it's something a bit too much. I try to just play and for fun and more than anything. Yeah, I enjoy, well, composing and recording it, mixing and mastering it. It's it's cool. It just requires a lot of energy. It's also it would have been a bit easier to have someone you can ask, but I don't know. I maybe I'm a control freak. I just like to do everything by myself without asking for help because it might affect the work. But I enjoy doing it. It just sometimes it feels way too complex, especially when you get to sound engineering part of it. I know what's the proper name for of this job, but it like when you do mastering, and I complete like I have no idea what I'm doing. You're just googling these things, and they use the words that you hear for the first time, and then you have to Google these words to understand what they were saying, and then you find a forum where people are talking about this mastering things, and then you realize, okay, no one actually knows what they're talking about. Everyone has different opinions, and nothing is like there are no rules, I guess. And at first it made things even more complex when I was looking for some answers and no one has answers. Then I kind of changed my perspective a little bit, thinking pretty much the same thing, that no one really knows and there are no answers. But the way I interpreted it is you can do whatever as long as you think it sounds good. And that way it was a bit more fun. Because the place where I struggled with making my track is I wanted to release it on Spotify and other platforms. And they have rules or something like that, like specific restrictions for your tracks in terms of like technical aspects that I have no idea what these are. And I was trying to figure out, Googling for days without getting any results. And then I just thought, okay, it sounds good. I submitted what I have, thinking that, well, if it's not like if I'm submitting something wrong in the wrong format or something, they will just decline it. And it worked. This soundtrack, it's like we have a rave here. There's a music on stream? Oh my god, it is for me! When I change my headphones. Here you go. And no one said anything. I was just awkwardly talking in silence. Well, you were missing out. But thanks for pointing that out. It should be now. Now you can enjoy my rave as well. I usually don't listen to this kind of music. It's only on streams. But I feel like it helps to be energetic. Keep going. Okay, we have some space left. We'll finish it. Maybe apply some quick glows to make it a bit more pleasant. Now we're raving. Sweet. It's from a game called Katana Zero. I don't know if any of you played it. I played through it. It was fun. I don't remember the story at all. I love listening to Imagine Dragons. Yeah, I can't really listen to this type of music on my streams. Oh, because of the copyright strikes and stuff. Last stream, I received a couple. They're not called strikes, but copyright claims, I think. Because of the soundtrack from Hotline Miami. I didn't know that it was licensed soundtrack. I thought it was, well, specifically made for the game. But I guess it... even if it's specifically made for the game, it still can be claimed, I think. And I just have to be careful with using modern soundtracks. Probably no one would care about me using a soundtrack from 16-bit era games. But I would love to play some music from Cyberpunk. Probably not the best idea though. I have a $1 million idea for a new service. So some music streaming service like Spotify should have a contract with YouTube or Twitch or whatever. And when you're streaming, you basically use like a tool that says I'm streaming this music from Spotify, and all your listeners who are subscribed to Spotify or this service, they will hear this music too, but it won't be like embedded into your stream. The only information that will be embedded is which songs to play. That way streamers can still have normal music playing on streams. I guess it limits the amount of potential listeners to only subscribers. I guess it should work just... Okay, another idea. YouTube should have a contract with Spotify that allows streamers to use music on streams, but all the people watching the stream will count as the new listeners on Spotify. So if you have a stream with like 10k viewers and you play a music from Spotify, a song from Spotify, this song will... YouTube will add 10k 10k plays to the song, so the musicians can still get a revenue. How about that? Sounds like a good idea to me. We're out of canvas. You can synchronize your Spotify music and streamers music like already. Yeah, that was my original idea. I think like people who don't have Spotify won't hear anything. And I'm proposing to just count people listening on streams on YouTube to the Spotify's stats. Thanks for the info, Zareen. I'll take a look. Okay, let's try to add some glow. And the way I'm doing it in Procreate is I duplicate the layer, apply blur, change the color of it. Oops, on that one. Mask? Nope. How do we get rid of it? Yeah, I think we're done. Looks glowy. What do you think? Like, adding glows, it's definitely a cheap trick to make it look more impressive. And when I post animations, I often see that it's, well, people react to it more, even if the animation itself might be a bit more simple and not as impressive. But because sometimes I post effects without any glows, because to me it just, well, it just glows, not as impressive, and I try to focus on the animation, but it definitely makes everything look better. We love shiny stuff. We all do. I would put it on a wall. Cool. We can start making prints. This can be a wallpaper. Just the pattern for the whole wall. I will go crazy if this was my wallpaper. But anyways, I had a lot of fun just drawing these shapes without thinking about how the hell do I animate it. I appreciate you posting both the version with the glow and without. It helps to see the lines and shapes a bit clearer without when studying. Okay, cool. I'll keep it in mind. I'm glad it helps. You definitely should make something like this, Brian. I enjoy doing this a lot, just in terms of fun, value. Because when you don't have to animate this, you can just draw whatever. And I think it's very similar to abstract art, where you just grab a brush with paint and you just start doing random motions, whatever feels good. I think I'm achieving same results with Doodling VFX. So I would call this experiment a success. And thank you everyone for visiting. A lot of returning faces. It's always great to see you enjoying, I assume, enjoying my stream, or I don't know what can be the reason why you keep coming here. But thank you anyways, and the next one will be next Thursday, probably, as usual. I guess we will have to animate some lightning now. Thanks for coming. Have a good night, have a good day, and see you next time. It says let's do this. Go away. Bye-bye.